The mockery dar, Zara Voss pressed her palm against the cold metal wall of Laboratory 7, feeling the vibrations of the outer rim mining station through her fingertips. The muffled laughter from the corridor still echoed in her ears, a harsh reminder of the presentation she'd just endured. Another rejection, another round of colleagues dismissing her life's work as quantum fantasy and impossible theoretics. Consciousness bridge technology, she whispered to herself, the words tasting bitter in the sterile air. If only they could see past their narrow minds. The laboratory around her was a testament to years of solitary research. Holographic equations floated in midair, their blue light casting dancing shadows on equipment that she'd built herself from salvaged parts. At the center stood her masterpiece, a crystalline array that hummed with barely contained energy, its faceted surface reflecting possibilities that others couldn't even imagine. Zara's fingers traced the smooth edges of the central crystal, feeling the warmth that pulsed beneath its surface. This wasn't just technology, it was a bridge between minds, between species, between the very fabric of consciousness itself. Her colleagues saw only mathematical impossibilities where she saw the future of interspecies communication. The door hissed open behind her. "Still playing with your crystal ball, Voss?" Dr. Marcus Ridge's voice dripped with condescension as he entered uninvited. His pristine white coat and perfectly groomed beard made him the picture of academic authority that the Outer Rim colonies respected. "It's not a toy," Marcus Zara replied, without turning around. "This technology could revolutionize how we interact with non-human intelligence." Ridge laughed, the sound sharp and cutting. "Non-human intelligence? You mean like the mining robots? Or perhaps you're planning to chat with the asteroids?" Heat flushed through Zara's cheeks, but she kept her voice steady. "There are 17 documented alien species in this sector alone. Imagine if we could understand their thoughts, their intentions, their what? Their desire to steal our resources, to conquer our colonies." Ridge moved closer, his presence invasive. "You're wasting valuable research time on fairy tales while real threats exist out there." Zara finally turned to face him, her dark eyes blazing with conviction. "The only threat is our inability to communicate. Fear breeds conflict, Marcus. Understanding breeds peace." Ridge shook his head dismissively. "You've been alone too long out here, Voss. It's affecting your judgment." His eyes lingered on her form in a way that made her skin crawl. "Perhaps you need some companionship to ground you in reality." "Get out," Zara said quietly, her voice carrying a dangerous edge. "The board won't fund this nonsense much longer." Ridge continued, ignoring her request. "When they cut your budget, remember that I offered an alternative." After he left, Zara stood alone among her equations and dreams, wondering if she was truly the fool they claimed her to be. But deep in her heart, she knew her technology would prove itself when the universe needed it most. The crisis captain Dex Thorne stood on the bridge of the starship Valiant, his weathered hands gripping the command rail as he stared at the tactical display. Red blips filled the screen, an alien fleet of unprecedented size approaching the inner colonies at impossible speeds. His communications officer had gone pale, and his weapons specialist was openly sweating despite the cool bridge temperature. "We've never seen ships like these," Lieutenant Torres reported, her voice tight with barely controlled fear. "They're not responding to any of our standard hail frequencies, and their technology. It's at least 50 years ahead of ours." Dex's jaw tightened as he processed the implications. 30 years of military service had prepared him for many scenarios, but not this. The alien vessels moved with fluid grace, their organic looking, hulls pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that seemed almost alive. "What's our defensive status?" he asked, though he already suspected the answer. "Conventional weapons are likely ineffective against their shielding," Torres replied. "And they outnumber our entire sector fleet 3-1. The bridge fell silent, except for the steady beeping of proximity alarms. Dex closed his eyes briefly, thinking of the millions of colonists depending on his decisions. His military advisors had always mocked theoretical solutions, preferring tried-and-true firepower over scientific innovation. But firepower wouldn't save them now. "Sir, we're receiving a priority communication from command," Torres announced. Admiral Blackwood wants to speak with you immediately. The Admiral's gruff face appeared on the main screen, his expression grim. Thorn, I won't sugarcoat this. We're facing extinction-level threat. Conventional strategies have failed. What are your orders, sir? Dex asked, though he dreaded the answer. We need alternatives, unconventional ones. Blackwood paused, looking uncomfortable. There's a researcher on mining station Prometheus 7, Dr. Zara Voss. She's been working on some kind of communication technology. Dex frowned. Communication, Admiral. We need weapons, not conversation. The woman claims she can create bridges between different forms of consciousness, Blackwood continued. Most of our scientists think she's delusional, but he gestured helplessly at the tactical display. Desperate times, Captain. You want me to abandon my fleet to chase theoretical technology from a discredited researcher? I want you to explore every option before we all die, Blackwood snapped. Prometheus -7 is 3 hours away at maximum burn. You have full authority to requisition whatever resources you need. As the communication ended, Dex stared at the approaching alien fleet. His tactical mind rebelled against abandoning proven strategies, but his heart knew they were outmatched. Somewhere on a mining station, a woman he'd never met might hold humanity's only hope. Helm, set course for Prometheus 7, he ordered. Maximum speed. Sir, that means leaving our defensive positions, Torres protested. Our defensive positions are worthless against that, Dex replied, pointing at the alien fleet. Sometimes the greatest courage lies in admitting when conventional wisdom isn't enough. The connections are his hands trembled as she calibrated the consciousness bridge array. Hyper-aware of Captain Thorne's intense gaze watching her every movement, he'd arrived like a storm, all masculine authority and desperate urgency, demanding miracles from technology that had never been tested beyond theoretical models. This is insane, Dex muttered, pacing behind her workstation. We're betting everything on crystals and mathematics, while an alien fleet approaches our colonies. Not just crystals, Zara corrected, her fingers dancing over the holographic controls. Quantum-entangled neural interfaces that can translate thought patterns across species barriers. If it works, we can communicate with beings whose minds operate on completely different wavelengths. She could feel the heat radiating from his body as he moved closer, studying her work with skeptical eyes. She found herself acutely aware of his presence, the way his uniform stretched across broad shoulders, the determined set of his jaw, the subtle scent of his cologne mixing with the ozone smell of her equipment. Explain it to me like I'm not a scientist, Dex said, his voice softer now, almost intimate in the confines of her laboratory. Zara turned to face him, surprised by how close he'd moved. Consciousness isn't just electrical impulses in a brain. It's quantum field fluctuations that exist beyond physical matter. My array can synchronize those fields, creating temporary bridges between different forms of awareness, and the risk. Complete mental dissolution if the bridge collapses unexpectedly, she admitted. The consciousness of both participants could be scattered across quantum dimensions. Dex stared at her for a long moment. You're talking about risking your sanity or very existence for people who've mocked and dismissed you. I'm talking about saving lives, Zara replied, though his words touched something deep inside her, including yours. Without warning, the array activated partially, responding to the emotional intensity crackling between them. Sparks of consciousness energy arced through the air, and suddenly Zara gasped as foreign thoughts brushed against her mind. For a brief, electrifying moment, she felt Dex's memories, childhood fears, military victories, the loneliness of command, something else, ... Something warm and growing as he looked at her. What just happened? Dex asked, his voice rough with surprise. The array responded to our proximity, Zara whispered, her cheeks flushing as she realized he might have felt her thoughts to her attraction. Her desperate need to prove herself, her growing fascination with this complicated man who'd brought chaos into her ordered world. Dex stepped closer, his hand reaching toward her face before stopping just short. I saw, ... double quotes. He struggled for words. Your brilliance, your incredible courage, and I felt your fear, Zara replied softly. Not for yourself, but for everyone counting on you. It's the weight of command, the impossible decisions. The moment stretched between them, charged with newfound understanding and dangerous possibilities. Then proximity alarms shattered the intimacy. The alien fleet was accelerating, giving them less time than projected. "We need to establish full contact now," Zara said, forcing herself back to the controls despite the lingering sensation of their joined consciousness. The battled Admiral Nyx Corin stood in the command chamber of the organic vessel Heartseeker, her elongated limbs graceful despite their alien configuration. Bioluminescent patterns pulsed along her translucent skin, reflecting her growing confusion as the human fleet's behavior defied all tactical predictions. "They're not engaging," her tactical coordinator Veltar reported through harmonized thought-sharing. "The lead vessel approaches our forward scouts but shows no weapon signatures." Nyx's secondary arms gestured in the equivalent of a frown. Her people, the Vellani, had traveled countless light years, fleeing a cosmic catastrophe that had consumed their homeworld. These humans occupied perfect refuge planets, and Vellani survival demanded those worlds. Yet their behavior suggested something unprecedented. Aboard the Valiant, a position dangerously close to the alien fleet, Zara completed the final consciousness bridge calibrations. Her equipment hummed with barely contained energy as Dex stood beside her, his hand resting supportively on her shoulder. "Last chance to reconsider," he murmured, his touch sending warmth through her despite the terrifying circumstances. "We don't get anywhere by playing it safe," Zara replied, initiating the bridge sequence. The crystalline array blazed with light, and quantum fields expanded outward, searching for compatible consciousness. Patterns among the alien vessels, the moment of contact hit both ships simultaneously. Nyx jerked backward as foreign thoughts invaded her awareness. Human thoughts. Desperate but not malicious, seeking communication rather than conquest. Through the bridge, she felt Zara's sincere desire for understanding and Dex's protective instincts for his people. "Impossible," Nyx whispered, her bioluminescent patterns shifting to indicate shock. "They seek conversation." On the human ship, Zara gasped as Vellani consciousness flooded her mind. Images of a dying star, desperate evacuation ships, millions of refugees seeking new homes, not conquest survival. "They're not invaders," she whispered to Dex, tears streaming down her face. "They're refugees. Their entire solar system is collapsing." Through the consciousness bridge, Nyx experienced human emotions for the first time, complex feelings of fear mixed with compassion. Territorial instincts tempered by empathy. She realized these creatures might understand loss and desperation better than she'd anticipated. "We seek homes," Nyx projected through the bridge, her thoughts carefully measured. "Our worlds... dying. Your planets. Suitable for Vellani. Life." Zara relayed the communication to Dex, who immediately understood the implications. "There are uninhabited worlds in our outer systems," he responded through the bridge. "It's planets we've surveyed but never colonized. If they're truly refugees... The consciousness bridge pulsed with possibility as two species began their first real conversation. Nyx felt human concepts of negotiation, resource sharing, mutual benefit ideas foreign to Vellani culture, but suddenly appealing given their desperate circumstances. Perhaps, Nyx thought carefully, survival and coexistence are not mutually exclusive. The bridge stabilized, allowing more complex communication. Both fleets held their positions while two vastly different civilizations began the delicate process of building trust across the void of space. The Unity, 3 months after first contact, Prometheus Research Station had been transformed into the galaxy's first interspecies diplomatic center. Zara stood in her expanded laboratory now shared with Vellani consciousness technicians, who brought their own organic computing methods to complement her crystalline arrays. The integration hadn't been seamless. Its cultural misunderstandings, technological incompatibilities, and deep-seated fears from both species had created countless challenges. But the consciousness bridge had proven more valuable than anyone imagined, allowing negotiators to literally share emotional contexts behind their words. The agricultural proposals are being finalized, Dex reported, entering the lab with Admiral Nix beside him. The Volani leader had adapted remarkably to working alongside humans, her bioluminescent patterns now subtly shifting to indicate emotional states that humans could recognize. Zara smiled at the sight of them together, the gruff human military commander and the elegant alien admiral had developed an unlikely partnership based on mutual respect and shared purpose. Their friendship had become a symbol of what interspecies cooperation could achieve. The consciousness bridge made it possible, Zara replied, gesturing to the hybrid array that now incorporated both human quantum technology and Volani bioneural interfaces. But the real breakthrough was everyone's willingness to truly listen to each other. Nix's patterns shifted to warm gold, the Volani expression of gratitude. Your species possesses remarkable adaptability, Dr. Voss. We had expected conquest. Or rejection? We found ... partnership. As Nix departed to attend another negotiation session, Dex lingered behind. The past months of working closely with Zara had deepened their connection far beyond their initial consciousness bridge contact. What had begun as desperate cooperation had evolved into something profound and personal. The board finally approved. Unlimited funding for your research, Dex said, moving closer to where Zara stood among her equipment. You're being offered the directorship of the new Interspecies Communication Institute. And you? Zara asked, suddenly anxious. Their relationship had grown slowly, carefully, built on shared challenges and mutual respect. But Dex remained a fleet captain with duties throughout the sector. I've been offered a permanent position as military liaison to the diplomatic corps, he replied, his hands finding hers. Working directly with your research team? Zara's breath caught as he stepped closer, his presence warm and reassuring among the humming machinery that had brought them together. That would mean ... staying here, with you. If you'll have a stubborn military man who once thought your work was impossible? She laughed, remembering their first desperate meeting when he'd been skeptical of everything she represented. I seem to specialize in impossible things these days. As they kissed among the quantum arrays and bioneural networks, surrounded by the gentle hum of technology that bridged minds across species, Zara reflected on how dramatically her life had changed. The woman who'd been mocked and dismissed had become the architect of interstellar peace. Outside the laboratory windows, human and Volani ships moved in coordinated patterns, the crews learning to work together through consciousness bridge communications. What had begun as an invasion threat had transformed into humanity's first true alien alliance, proving that understanding could triumph over fear when brave hearts were willing to reach across the void. The Quantum Heart Protocol, as historians would later call Zara's technology, had done more than save both species, had shown the galaxy that connection was stronger than conflict, and that sometimes the greatest discoveries came from those dismissed as dreamers.